Welcome to live stream number 88. Today's Tuesday. It is November 7th. Thank you so much for taking the time to join today's live stream. If you're watching this, you're watching the recording. Haven't quite gotten anybody in the live stream yet. We will though. Thank you so much for taking the time to watch this recording. Now, today's topic, it is again a beginner on a video I did about, I think, a week ago, 2 weeks ago. I had let me show you. I have this model here of a kind of a coffee scoop for a AeroPress. Some of you guys might remember that we did this model a few weeks back. Idea of this was a beginner video. So kind of like, taking it down to kind of like the beginner level and start with kind of the best practices. Now today, we're going to do the same kind of spoon, coffee spoon, whatever, but I'm going to call it upside down because I absolutely believe that, that there is best practices when it comes to CAD. However, one of the things that I think held me back when I was brand new to Fusion 360 was I kind of like only thought that there was like one right way to get there. And, when you're starting out with CAD, well, not even when you're starting out, I think that, all of us kind of sometimes struggle when we got to model something up, trying to figure out where the heck should I start. And the truth is that there's different ways to get to the final result. And that's what matters. Well, at least what matters the most is you get something on the screen so you can do something with it, right? So let's jump in and kind of like take a look at this model that we did a few weeks ago. By the way, if you go down to the description area of the video, you will find the link to the original video. And in that one, there's actually also the file, so you can open up this specific one if you don't want to model it up yourself. But let's go in here and just take a quick look at the model that we modeled up a few weeks ago. Because here is the neat thing about this. Now, inside of this model of this scoop here, we have this history tree down here. And by the way, this is not just for beginners. But if you are a beginner, I want you to be aware of that there's different ways to get to the final result. So if you scroll back all the way to the beginning, we kind of like started out in that video with kind of a hockey puck. We did a circle, 46 millimeter diameter circle, and we extruded that out to kind of like a hockey puck. Then we drew this half moon shape. Some of you guys maybe remember that. And we used a revolve command for that. Now, one of the questions I got from a few people was because after we did the revolve to kind of like get that dome shape, we used something called a shell command to shell it all out. Now, a couple of people have asked me how it could be that I applied the shell command, edit, to the top face up here. And people was asking, how can it be that the dome also got hollowed out? The reason for that is if we go in and look at the revolve function down here, if we go in and right click and hit edit, we joined. So this goes default in here. When we did this, the dome, we had join turned on. It means it's going to join the hockey puck with the dome down here. Then we created an offset plane, turn that on, out here. So we talked about how to use the construction plane. Now, if all this seems, a little confusing, that I'm going a little fast through it, don't worry about it. Down in the description area of this video, you will find that original video. So you can go through it in your own pace, rewind, whatever you want. So we created this plane out here by using this offset plane. And then we sketched on that. And we kind of sketched this, oops, let me spin around. This sketch here, what maybe looks a little complicated, but again, look at the video, original video, if you didn't. You'll see how we did all that. So we sketched that, and we extruded that up to kind of like our hockey puck and dome. So we started the sketch out there. We sketched it up to that area. And then the last 4 features in here are just some fillets we added to the part. And then we made it black because it was black plastic injection mold. So that was what we did. I think it was live stream number 83. Again, look down in the description area for the video. So all cool. And I definitely think that that video is kind of like, if you're brand new, is how I would show you how to model this up. However, like I said, there's different ways to get to the same result. And I wanted to kind of like show a couple of other ways. And if you're a CAD ninja, then maybe there's nothing for you to learn in this one. But I think for some people, there's a couple of tricks here that we can utilize that you might like. So what we're gonna do now, after spending 6 minutes kind of like reviewing this part, is let's model it up. But let's model it up a little bit different so I can show you a couple of other things to be aware of than this original one here. So I'm going to go up and hit the plus sign to open up a new design. We're still going to do this in metric, so that's all good. So now in the first one, we kind of started out with the hockey puck. To kind of like, we started out with the hockey puck, and then we went over and did kind of like the revolve to do the dome there. Let's do this a little bit different. If you go to the drop down, you will actually see that we have some predefined shapes inside of Fusion. So you could say, well, why don't we just do a sphere for that round? So I'm going to select the sphere, and when I do that, look next to my cursor. It asks for select a plane or plane of face to start sketching on. So I'm just going to select on the top plane here, and then I can draw out that sphere. See that? So there's a sphere. So I'm going to do it 46 like I did the other spoon. So what we have now, if I hit enter, is a round sphere, golf ball, whatever you kind of like want to call this. Now, just like in the previous video, I like to turn my origin on so I can kind of like see where the origin is in here. So now down in the timeline, we have this sphere. Well, now, how about that we start sketching our hockey puck? So I'm going to create another sketch. And if it's hard to select through, you can see how it will select the planes. But if it's ever hard to select something, if you go up to the upper left, you can actually select the same planes over here, just so you're aware. So I'm going to select that plane there, and I'm going to draw another circle, C for circle, and I'm going to go out the same 46. Okay, so now I got a kind of like a circle that goes right in the center of that sphere. Now, if I go ahead and hit Q and I select that sketch there, I might see now I actually have a hard time selecting it because it's kind of like hidden within that. Let me see here. If I go into the sketch, yeah, don't want to let me select it. If I turn the body on, I can, so over here on the light bulb, if I hit the light bulb, I can turn the body on. Now I can select it. I can turn the light bulb back on again. And that was 15 millimeters high. Now what I want you to notice is how you see how it becomes red in here. That means it is going to cut. And this is kind of like, you see over in the menu over here, it shows cut. This was where before we kind of like had a join option over here. So if I just select cut, let me just do that for the fun of it. We actually cut everything away with this. So we don't want to do that. But what we can do is we can select join, and then we end up with that hockey puck up here. Now our sphere is kind of sticking above that area right now. We can literally just select that top face and hit delete on our keyboard, and Fusion will literally like zip that up. okay? So if we look at the original one, where we created a sketch, we extruded up 15, and then we did our revolve, where we kind of like had to sketch up in the revolve section. We kind of sketched up that arc with those lines and did all that stuff. Now we're at the same spot, but we used the sphere and we extruded up the hockey puck, and then we deleted the top face. So kind of like the same way. Now, I would absolutely use the same command as we did in the original one, the shell command here to hollow that out. But of course, you could go in and you could do a revolve cut to get to the same result. We could sketch up the inside, and then instead of doing, add material, we could cut away with the same there. But I'm just going to take the easiest way here, and that's using that shell command. And again, I'm going to select the top face here, and because these are joined together, it's going to follow that. So there's 2.5, and we are now shelled out like that. So we are the same spot now where we were on the timeline down here. Okay? So we are kind of like just taking a completely different approach, you could say, to use some different tools to get to the same result as we are over here. And I really, I think, like I said earlier, that was one of my biggest issues when I started using CAD, was I kind of like in my mind only thought there was one way to get to the finish line, and that had to be like the right way. And I don't want you to be held up by that. There's different ways to get up to the same result. Now, another thing I want to show you that is pretty cool is that now at this point in our original model, we did a offset plane. We used this offset plane over here. So we created a plane out here that we then could sketch on. And that sketch looked like this. So we had like this sketch we ended up creating here that we then extruded up to our body. Well, let's try something a little bit different in here. Just again, I want to show you that there's different ways to get to the same result. To make this a little bit easier, I'm actually going to hide both the bodies in both models. So I'm just going to hide the original body in the original model so we can just concentrating on the sketch. And I'm going to go into our new model. I'm going to do the same thing. I'm just going to hide the body for a second. Now in here, I'm going to open up a new sketch on this face here, right on our origin. I'm going to go back to our original part, and I'm going to edit that sketch. Because like I've said before, I'm kind of lazy when it comes to CAD and CAM. You can actually go into one model. You can select geometry in here, and you can then do Control C for copy, go over to your new model over here and do Control V, and you can literally copy paste sketch geometry from one file to another. So that could be kind of handy to know, right? 32 entities that I just went into the original sketch, hit edit in the original file, windowed it all, Control C, then I went into my new file, opened up a sketch, and did a Control V to paste it all. Kind of fancy. Now when we get in here, you will see that this sketch is pretty underdefined. It's blue. And if we talk about an original sketch, we needed to kind of like define everything. The reason for that is because this was just kind of like pasted in on this original file. And that means that I literally can go in here and I can grab things, and you will see that I can move things around. So what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to use relationship just like we would with a normal sketch. So I'm going to go in and do coincident from over here and say I want this to be coincident from here to the origin, and you will see that this comes down here. Now these 5 arcs did not come along because they were actually pattern sketches from the original one you see right here. Now this might be a little bit confusing if you didn't see the first video, or if you can't remember, what I wouldn't blame you for. What I'm going to do with these here, I'm just going to delete them for right now. I could try to move them down, but I'm not going to worry about that. But you will also see that our original arc here is still blue here. So I'm just going to go in here and I can see that I'm missing a constraint in here to make it vertical. So I'm just going to go in and select the vertical and click this one, and now that turns black. So be aware of that if you are copying sketches from one model to another model, that a lot of things will come over, but certain things like where they are tied down to the original sketch, of course, can't come with it, because it's kind of like breaking that relationship. Now, what I'm going to do to fix this is I'm just going to go in and do that circular pattern again, just like I did in the video a few weeks ago, and just make those arcs come in there. Okay? Hit OK, and now that is all black. So we literally stole or borrowed, whatever you want, this original sketch in here. Let me turn the body back on so we can kind of see it. So I borrowed that original sketch and brought it into our new file here. Now what you will notice that I did was that when I brought it into the new sketch, I placed it right on the origin. And what that means is that when I turn the body on in here, you will see that my sketch is sitting right in the middle of our kind of cup here. And if you look at our original one, I had it that 143 out because I sketched it out on the construction plane, right? Because it's the sketch started out there and we extruded it into this body. Now it's sitting in here instead of out here somewhere. Well, there's some really, really great tools inside of the standard extrude command that you should be aware of. So if I just hide my body for just 1 second again, so I can select things, and I hit Q for press pull, and I'm just going to select the areas here that we want of this part here. So these here, right? So if I start pulling now, I'll turn the body back on, you will see that we now are kind of creating that. You see that? There is the kind of like that handle inside the dome there. If I pull it through here, it turns red. What we just saw before actually means it's going to turn into a cut. Well, so here's my point with this, because right now you might be a little confused, and I hope that I'm not adding to that. This is the standard extrude command that we always are using every time we're extruding something. Okay? Be aware of that there's a lot of great options in here that we just so many times just forget about. We just move on because, you know, you're trying to get something on the screen. But in here, you can actually control the second one down. Where should this sketch start from? Now, by default, it's always starting from wherever the sketch is. But we can actually go out here and we can offset that distance. I can actually go out here and do 143, what means that now it's starting that 143 out, where in my original one, where the offset plane was created. Now we can we didn't even have to create that offset plane. We could have sketched everything right inside of here and just used this offset down here. So now I can do the exact same thing I did in the past video. For the where to go to, I can say up to object, and I can select up here. So now the sketch lives on this plane, but because we said it's going to start, it's actually starting out here, and it goes up to our body right here. Hit OK, And we are pretty much the same now as we are at this point. The last thing we have in here, let me just hide that sketch. The last thing we have in here is we have 4 fillets in here. And I normally break down my fillets. I think it's a lot easier to do. And then we have the appearance, what I turn into a black plastic. So from here on, my steps will be the same as it was in the original video. So we can hit F for fillet. And we can select these 2 edges here. And I think it was a 0.5 millimeter fillet we put on these ends. Hit F for fillet again. And I think I selected all these here, going all the way around, like that. Select that there, 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 there. I think that's all of them. And let's give that 1 millimeter. Then we did another fillet on the end, 1 millimeter. And we did the last fillet on the end there, 1 millimeter. And then the last thing I did with this model was I right-clicked, hit Appearances, and I changed the appearance to a plastic. And there's all different kinds of plastics in here. Just drag that up. Either you can drag it on the model, or you can drag it right up here. And we now have the exact same result up here in this model as we have with this one. Now, if you're looking at the timeline down here, you will see that it looks different for the 2 different ways. So this one started with a sphere, then the hockey puck, where the first one started with the hockey puck, then have evolved, right? The only thing, if you ask me what the difference is, I think that there's one less here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. And 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. So our original one had one more feature, I guess, where one less in the new one. But honestly, that is not where I really intend to focus on this. And, in my point with these 22 minutes, taking up your time in your busy day, is literally just to show you that, yes, I would call the first one, the one you can find the original video down in the description area, that is probably the CAD correct learning, starting out way. But honestly, in my opinion, this option here is just as legit. It's just the same. Like it's getting to the same result, but just a different way. I know, and I really appreciate all your comments down in the comment area. I know some of you guys will tell me that, well, yes, but if you gotta hand the design off to somebody else, or best practices in your workplace, and that is true. I'm not gonna fight for what is the absolutely right way. But like I said earlier, I really think that in the beginning I was held back because I thought there was only one right way to do it. I rather want to see people get in there and start modeling things up, and there's so many different cool ways inside of Fusion to kind of like get to the result. I hope this was helpful. You absolutely let me know. Thumbs up if you like it. Thumbs down if you don't. Be honest. Don't forget, down in the description area is my email address, lars.christensen@autodesk.com. I really appreciate any future topics that you have. What else? Tomorrow's about sculpting. We're gonna do some neat thing tomorrow. We're gonna do some sculpting. I got a story about this. I just got a new hammer, a cool new hammer. I'll tell you the story tomorrow. We're gonna play with sculpting with that one tomorrow. If you haven't already, subscribe to the channel. I would really appreciate that. So I'm gonna end it here. This is really just an attempt to add a little bit more value to your experience with Fusion 360. 15, 20 minutes, 30 minutes long live streams. Hope to see you tomorrow. I'm going to do like I normally do. I'm going to end this. So if you're watching the recording, Thank you for doing that, and I'll go jump into the live stream and say hi to everybody in the chat. Thank you. Have an awesome Tuesday.